Hello, ma'am. Hello, Vijipriya, ma'am.
Hi, sir.
You are the first guest in the today's webinar, ma'am.
Yeah, sir.
Which area you are from?
Pattukotai, sir.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
School's classes are over for today, right?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Hello, Meera ma'am. Hello, Swati ma'am. Preeti has also joined. So you would be seeing a question on your screen. So just wanted to know the participation today in the webinar. Hi, Lakshman.
Hi, Akash. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So we have teachers joining from Pudukkottai, I think.
Pattukotte,
Yeah, Pudukkottai.
they are from Brindavan Public School.
Okay, Vijay Priya ma'am joined from there.
Welcome, ma'am.
So till now, I think all the teachers are from southern part of India in the webinar today. So Lakshman, have schools started opening now or is it still going online right now?
Taking
Your
on classes, sir.
It's going online only because
okay, teacher.
when they plan to start on November 16th, but parents have not cooperated. So government has announced it will be January.
Suddenly you make plans to open the school, but again COVID cases increase. You have to again announce the lockdown. So that is going on, I think. Jaya Lakshmi ma'am also joined now. Hello, sir. Your voice is not coming.
Sarangan sir is also from Brindavan. There
Okay.
are 4-5 teachers with the principal also.
Great, great.
உங்க பேர் வந்துட்டு இதுல மியூட்ல போட்டுருங்க வீடியோ
We shall wait for 2-3 more minutes and then we will start. Okay. So I think we can start now. Uh, so meanwhile, who are joining, we can talk to them in the chat box and then we can welcome them. Okay. So we have right now around 90% of the teachers in this meeting are from southern part of India and remaining are from north, I think. So I'll just close the poll.
நம்ம இப்ப முகம் தெரியக்கூடாது. நம்ம போட்டோ மட்டும் தான் தெரியும். அது மாதிரி
போட்டோ மட்டும் தான் தெரியும்னா வீடியோ மியூட் பண்ணிக்கோங்க.
Yeah, so I will start. Welcome teachers in this session today. My name is Akash and we are from MyPet. MyPet is a company. We are part of the Fitji group and we are providing the software solutions basically based on assessments for the schools to take care of all the assessment related needs for schools in India. And the content which we are using, so content is basically the questions which we are using have been created by faculties from Fitji and they are our content partner and they have been in the market from last 25 years and are producing toppers across all these years and which basically proves that the content which has been created is really helpful in creating the toppers and we wanted to use that power of the content and couple it with the software solutions and empower the schools in India. So with that mission we are working on and in today's session we will show you the solutions which are there and the underlying philosophy we are working on. In addition to that, we will also try to talk about the problems as a teacher we are facing and what are the potential solutions from all those things. And we would like to learn from your experience as well. So please feel free to add wherever you feel you have some perspective or you want to ask any questions. Feel free to disturb anyone. I would be happy to answer your questions. And with this thought, let us start. So I will be sharing my screen. So the focus of today, so Lakshman, can you confirm if the screen is visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Great. Yeah. So the focus of today's session is on improving the school's academic performance. Okay. So with the current time of pandemic also is coming and we have been, our lives have been impacted from last 8-9 months because of that. So there are a lot of things which have changed around us. And it is not that the pandemic has brought out those changes were already coming, but just that pandemic has accelerated the pace at which those changes were happening. We will see what are those changes, what are the new learnings for us, and how are the new changes are coming, and what lies ahead, like what can we do to handle all this situation. Okay. So when we started working on these problems, we started talking to teachers and one of the first instinct was like when we are working with schools, teachers are the only one who actually control how the education is imparted, right? So we started talking to teachers. We talked to around 300 plus teachers in India, and we found there were common problems across all of them, which we categorized into 4 5 points. So as you can see on my screen, these are the following observations we made when we talk to different teachers. Okay. And as you can see on my screen, so there were issues related to information abundance. Like earlier, we were living in the world of information scarcity, but now since everything is available, all the information is available on internet. So we are now living in the area of living in the era of information abundance, which is again having its own problems. Okay. So then again, measuring the learning effectiveness is another thing which teachers are facing nowadays. Why it is a problem or why is it a challenge right now? Because especially in the online world, You don't know who is observing, how the students are reacting to your lessons, or even if you go to offline classes. So as a human being, we have limited attention span, and at the time we can control, or we can see like only 4 or 5 students, we can see whether the learning is happening or not. But in a school of thousands of students, when we want to observe, okay, what is the learning happening in the class, how is the effectiveness in my sessions. So again, we need a scientific approach which is not dependent on humans. Okay, so that is another thing which is coming out. Then engagement is basically the lecture which you are giving, how engaging is it, are the learners actually receiving what you are saying, or is it just they are just sitting in the class without doing anything. So a lot of these new innovations are required in this, lot of technology tools are coming. And now since the current generation is growing up with mobile phones, they are always distracted, and engaging them for a period of like 30 or 40 minutes in itself is a very big task for the teachers nowadays. Then the next thing is technology tools. As all of us are learning new things nowadays, we didn't know how to use Zoom some time back, but now we are proficient in it. Okay, this is just one example. There are a lot of things in the schools in which technology has started playing its part. So as a teacher, all of us need to learn that, right? So all these pointers actually come down to this one experience, which is managing the learning experience. So this is our ultimate objective. We want to manage the learning experience in the class. We want to provide the best education possible. So this is the theme, and these are the pointers which we observed. Now we will see. Now we will dig deeper into all these points, and we will also discuss about like what are the solutions or what can be done to handle all these changes in the current time. Teachers, feel free to ask or feel free to answer or like anything. So Ali sir has raised hand. Sir, do you want to add anything here? Ali sir. Okay. So I'll move on then. Okay. So the first point which was there was about information abundance. Okay. So I just remember one example here. So there were times earlier when we were in the habit of collecting a lot of information around us. Okay, so just consider the case of songs. Okay, we used to have collection of DVDs or CD players or CDs with us, and we used to feel like very proud that we have this much collection with us. But now you can just go to Spotify, you can go to YouTube to search whichever song you want to, right? And similar case in case of teachers also. Earlier we used to search, okay, what is the best resource on whichever topic we want to teach. But now if you want to search, if you want to teach any topic, you can go online, you will find hundreds of lesson plans on that same topic. Now the problem is not the collection, the problem is related to curation now. Okay, since everything is available in my at my fingertips, now I want the best resource with me. Okay, so the problem which has come is now, so it is possible that hundreds of resources will be available for me, but which one is the best resource out of them, that is something which I need to find out right now. So let us say you are teaching the concept of photosynthesis in the class. Okay, you will find hundreds of definitions, hundreds of videos someone might have created on photosynthesis, and you will spend hours in actually finding out which one is the best video on photosynthesis. However, when you are going to teach that topic, it is possible that you will take hardly 15-20 minutes to actually teach it. So that is the problem with collection versus curation we are talking about here. Okay, so as you can see, there is a quote on my screen. So it is not the information overload, it is the filter failure which is causing issues. Next one is evolving role of teachers. Okay, so teaching versus caring. So this point has become especially relevant in the online classes world, because now students are just part of the mobile or computer screens for us. Okay, earlier in regular classrooms we were dealing with students. Sorry, we could figure out like how are they feeling, is there any other issue with them, right? So teachers additional responsibility in addition to teaching was also to ensure that students feel secure in the classroom environment. But now that caring part has been taken care by parents nowadays, because parents are working from home and they are taking care of the kids, so they are secure. Now teachers focus is has to again shift towards the teaching. Okay. Another observation is that like teachers who are in lower classes, their job has more caring component as compared to teaching. But as you move on to higher classes, then again teaching component becomes more. And this is again becoming more like more emphasis has to be given on that. So that is another thing. Like technology tools, anyways, we have discussed. We will come to know more about technology tools in this session itself. Okay. Now, when we talk about when we want to like structure more about like how the roles are evolving, these are the three aspects. Okay. So when you are running a school in an online first world, okay. So online first world means that it no matter even if your classes are happening in offline setup as well, but online is the first medium here. Okay. So everything is online and schools are not also like schools also are impacted by it. So that has to be part of the school component now. So the first thing is teaching, then we have evaluation, and third one is administration. So these are the core three roles, core three aspects in running a school. Okay. So teaching is usually like how teachers teach the classes and they share the content, they run various audiovisual modules and all that. Then evaluation is how do we measure the learning effectiveness in the class. Okay. And the third point is about administration. So apart from academics, there are a lot of other things which need to be run in the school. So that is also something which teachers or school administrators need to learn, right? In this session, we are going to be focusing more on teaching and evaluation aspect. Okay. Since administration is non-academic, we won't be focusing on that much. Okay. So yeah. Now coming to teaching part, teaching is basically right now happening in online. So offline modes, we already know how the classes are happening. But when we talk about online classes, there are basically two aspects. Okay. The first one is running the live classes, and second one is teaching asynchronously. Running live classes basically means that like the interaction which we are having right now is also kind of a live class. All of us are connected on our devices. We are I'm saying something and you are listening, and it is happening in a live environment. Okay. In case of asynchronous teaching, it is like I record some lecture first, okay, and then I upload it somewhere, and then students can go through it as per their convenience. Okay. So that is called as asynchronous teaching. Okay. Both of them have different benefits and advantages over each other. Let us see how. So when we talk about benefits, live classes definitely have active engagement. So learners and teachers are actively involved in the knowledge creation process. Okay. There is a direct feedback. Like if you don't understand anything, students can raise their hands, they can interrupt the class in between and provide some feedback to the teachers. Teachers can also provide some feedback to the student. This all results in building more credibility for the stakeholders. Okay. Similarly, for asynchronous classes, benefits, one of the main major benefit is flexible schedule. Okay. So sometimes what happens is that in a house, only one mobile phone is available and there are two students. Okay. So now since they are flexible, so whenever the device is available, students can go through the learning modules. Okay. Because it is already recorded, they just have to download the content and see it. In that way, it is self-paced and more personalized. So let us say a teacher has shared 5 6 videos and I already know much about the first one, so I can just go to the second learning resource. Okay. So it is more personalized. I can again go through the content, or I can skip some content depending on my learning stage. Okay. It is also technologically less demanding. Why? So live class actually requires all of us should have active internet connection and are available at the same time. But that is not there in this case in asynchronous classes. Okay. So that is why it is less demanding. When we talk about the issues, it definitely requires rigid schedule and it is demanding as we have seen. Okay. But again, in the case of asynchronous classes, lack of emotional connect is one of the major issue we have. Why? Because I'm not directly teaching students. I'm just recording my lecture and students will see it whenever they are free. So I will not be having an opportunity to have a direct interaction with my students. That is the challenge there. Okay. Again, in the classroom, especially when you are dealing with the young learners, you also need to make sure that learners are motivated enough, because 50% of the teaching is to ensure that students are motivated, right? I remember my teachers used to motivate a lot. I don't even remember like the content or the lessons which they taught, and but I still remember the motivational stories which my teacher shared with me. But that opportunity is not there in case of asynchronous classes. Okay, so that is the difference between both of these modes. I understand like schools, now your schools also would be running one of these modes, or it can be also a mixture of both of them, some kind of a hybrid uh, model some schools would be running. And I think that is the requirement we need to see. Okay, now there are different principles which are required in case of asynchronous teaching and in case of synchronous teaching, right? So as you can see on my screen, how to teach the content, or how to create effective video, those are the requirements in asynchronous wala case. But in case of online classes, engagement takes the major seat. Okay, and again there is some dark side of the online classes as well. Sometimes some students come and disturb the entire class. Okay, and how do schools can deal with those kind of challenges? That is another problem we are facing. Okay, so with the help of technology we are able to find out the solutions to this. Like at Fora as a company, we have also faced like 50 plus instances where some students actually started disturbing, but we were able to figure out using their IP address and other criteria. We were able to figure out who were the students who were causing problems and inform the parents or inform the schools accordingly. Okay. Now this is the teaching part. Okay. Now I will be moving to the evaluation part, which we were discussing in the beginning of this session. Okay. Before going into that, I have a simple question to all of you. As you can see on my screen, the question is, what do you think? Is teaching an art or science? I would like to ask teachers about it. You can put your comment, or you can tell here like what do you feel about it and why do you think it is that way? Yeah, teachers, please tell. Okay, one of you have told me it is art. So it is artistic science. Okay, that is a very good suggestion. Maharaja sir has told teaching is art. Nandini ma'am has also told it is art. Okay. Okay. So you are more inclined to say that it is an art. And so I have taken your point, but let me clarify my understanding also. So before going into like is teaching an art or science, I want to ask another question. What makes something art and what makes something as a science? So when we try to understand like what is art or what is science, there is something called as tangibleness. Okay, something is tangible or things can be intangible also. Okay, so let us say I say that A.R. Rahman is a very good musician. Okay, and that is basically an art. He's an artist, but we are not able to figure out why is he a very good singer. Is it because of the quality of music instruments? Is it something else? So the things which make him a good artist are intangible. Okay. Now I have a second observation. I can say that Usain Bolt is a very good runner. Okay, so Usain Bolt is one of the fastest runner in the world. He holds the world record of covering 100-meter distance in minimum possible time. Okay, so now when I'm saying that he's a very good runner, I can conclude he's a good runner because he takes less time in covering the distance. Okay, so I am able to measure it. So that is a tangible aspect. Okay, so something which makes art, so intangible things make something an art. So intangibleness is something which you cannot measure. Okay, but if we can measure something, then it becomes tangible, and then it is more closer to science in that sense. Okay, now when we talk about teaching, there are both aspects in teaching. There are intangible aspects as well, there are tangible aspects as well. Okay, I will cover that part. Just let me show you something or tell you something. So when we talk about like the way we are progressing, okay, so our progress is largely the story of converting intangible aspects to tangible aspects. Okay, why I am saying this word? Okay, uh, consider, like, let us go 100 200 years back. Okay, what happened 100 200 years back was that, let us say it was raining. Okay, people used to feel that it is some kind of punishment which God is giving us, that is why it is raining. Okay, but now with the help of technology, we are able to figure out why it rains. Okay, it is just some scientific phenomena. Now we are able to like convert that intangible aspect to tangible aspect with the help of science. Okay, so that is how we are progressing. Okay, someone also made an attempt in education as well to convert intangible aspect to tangible aspects. Okay, the name of that person was Bloom. Okay, his full name was Benjamin Bloom actually. Okay, so what happened was, earlier teaching was like considered, okay, this person is a very good teacher, he could tell very good stories and all that. But this person introduced the idea of learning objectives. Okay, learning objectives. And he also gave like there are different type of learning objectives we have around us. Okay, he provided us with the different stages in learning. Okay, so like first stage is knowledge, and second stage he told was understanding. Okay, and then application, so like that. So what he told us, that whenever we are learning any concept, we go through all these stages. If I'm learning about photosynthesis, I will first will just start with the definition of photosynthesis. But when you talk about a person who is doing some PhD in photosynthesis, they will know much more. Okay, they will be able to combine various laws of physics also in photosynthesis. So that way, different learning stages happen, and this person was able to put some tangible aspect to it. Okay, now when we are able to make something tangible from intangible, then what it enables us, it enables us to actually measure it. Okay, why measurement is important? Because whatever can be measured can be improved. Okay, this statement was given by this person. His name is Peter Drucker, and he was a management consultant. Okay, so just to give you one example, let us say a person wants to reduce his weight. Okay, now in order to start on the journey of reducing weight, uh, what will be the first step? First step will be basically to start with measuring this weight. Okay, that person first will measure, okay, how much is the weight I am having. So let us say the person wants to have 75 kg of weight, but his weight is 90 kg. Then that person will know he, in order to reach from this to this stage, he will have to reduce 15 kg. Okay, so that is what measurement is doing to him. Okay, now he's able to measure it. Second is, like, now after knowing about it that he has to reduce this much weight, that person will work on some exercises, he will change his diet and all that, right? So in that case, after, let us say, spending 1 week or 2 week on doing exercises, that person will come to know like how much weight he has reduced, and depending on that, he will also get feedback on which exercises are working, which exercises are not working, and so on. Okay, so if you are able to measure it, then you are able to improve it. So that is how we can also try to improve our in classroom as well. We can take this concept. Okay, so the emphasis is on measurement. Okay, how can we put more measurement into our classrooms? Okay, now only way to measure certain things in our classrooms is through evaluation. When we talk about evaluation, there are basically three types of evaluation in the classes. Okay, as you can see on my screen, any teachers want to say anything?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. So I think I've got some messages from you. Let me just check it. Yeah. Uh, so as you can see on my screen, there are three types of evaluations. Okay. The first one, as you can see, it is before teaching the concept. Then we have during the teaching and after teaching the concept. Okay, we call them by different names. The evaluation which happens before teaching, what do we call it? It is called as diagnostic assessment. Okay, the purpose of this assessment is to know the learning state of the person, of the student. The idea is that if I want to teach my students multiplication, I want to ensure that they already know about addition. If they don't know addition, I cannot teach them multiplication. Okay, so before teaching multiplication, addition is the prerequisite concept, and teachers need to evaluate whether the students are proficient in the prerequisite concepts or not. Okay, so this is what your diagnostic assessment gives you. Okay, it is before teaching the concept. The next one is while teaching the concept. Okay, this is called as formative assessment. Okay, teachers. So this might be a familiar term to all of you, I think. So again, as the name suggests, formative. It happens during the formation of knowledge. Okay, and here again the purpose is to provide some feedback to the teachers. Feedback to teachers, not to students. Okay, please keep this in mind. Formative assessment is a feedback to teachers, and the purpose is to know whether whatever teaching has happened in the classroom, whether students have understood it or not. Okay, if I'm teaching something now, and just after teaching it, I ask students, okay, what is the definition of this, or what is the meaning of this? If my students are able to understand those questions, then I can say, okay, whatever I have taught, students have learned it. Okay, and that is formative. Then third one is after teaching the concept. These are called as summative assessment. Okay, now the student evaluation part happens only in this case. This is something on the basis of which we create report cards and promote the students to the next grade and all that. Okay, but this is just one of the part. Okay, so most of us in the schools, we assume, okay, all these things are part of the evaluation. So majorly this is something which is used to judge the learning capacity of the student. Okay, so these are our regular class exams. Okay, so here we are trying to understand over a period of time how much knowledge the student has gained. Okay, this is what we try to learn here. Now coming to our classes, how these type of evaluations can happen. If we talk about earlier scenario, whenever teachers had to evaluate the students, they had to like figure out, okay, they had to figure out different questions and then prepare the question papers, take photocopies, xerox, or then share it with the students and they will attempt it. Okay, so preparing a question paper, to assigning it to the students, to evaluating and publishing the result. Okay, it was a very long process and everything was manual. Now what we want to tell you is that with the help of technology, we have automated most of that part. This is what I will show you now. Okay, so now let us consider there is a science teacher, and they regularly on a daily basis, let us say they have 4 lectures in a day, 4 periods. Okay, so in a week they will have 20 to 24 lectures. Now in order to understand different learning aspects like we saw earlier, like formative, diagnostic and summative, they will have to evaluate the students on a regular basis. Okay, that will require them to create various assessments, various tests on a regular basis after each class, before each class, or after a weekend, like that. Okay, so on a monthly basis they will have to do this exercise at least 100 to 150 times, if I'm correct. Okay, now I will show you how can this task be automated with the help of a software. Okay, so I will show you the MyPad platform here, in which you will be able to see uh, how easy it can be for a teacher to actually assign some assessments. Okay, just be with me for a while. I'm just sharing my screen again. Is my screen visible? Please confirm.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay,
Sir.
okay. So you can see on my screen there are two side-by-side windows. Okay, so the one on the left is for a student, and the one on the right is for a teacher. Okay, now let us say I'm a mathematics teacher and I'm teaching the concept of parallelograms and triangles. Right after teaching this concept, okay, I want to understand whether the learning in my class happened or not. Okay, what I will have to do, I will just have to navigate. So this teacher is in class ninth. Okay, so he will go to that chapter. Okay, then they will just unlock the test. Okay, so yeah, so I have unlocked this test. So this test like parallelogram on the same base and between. So there is a quiz on this. After teaching the topic, teachers have unlocked it. And in this screen for students, now I can see whether this test is locked or unlocked. So I just have to refresh it once. Yeah. Both are showing unlocked. Logged once. Let me log this again and unlock. So both are. So this is how simple it can be. They just have to unlock it and then it will become available for the students to attempt. Okay. Yeah, see now that red color lock button is not there now. Okay, so both these tests are now available for the students and it will take 20 minutes only for the students to actually attempt it. Okay, this is hardly going to take like 5 minutes on behalf of teacher. Okay, something which could take like earlier 2 hours for teachers, now it is taking only this much time. This is just one example. Okay, now similar to this, there are different chapter tests also available. So just to give you a perspective, uh, science concept, like number of concepts in science from grade 6 to 10th alone are around 400 in number. Okay, so we have created assessment for each concept. So it means that there will be 400 concept tests available. Okay, this is one thing which can be used in different ways. You can use it as formative assessment. You can also use it as summative or diagnostic. Secondly, for each chapter, there are two tests available. So let us say in grade 10th, there are 15 chapters. Then we will have 30 chapters, chapter tests available in the platform. Okay. How this is helpful? So let us say as a teacher, you have conducted a test and now you figured out like some performance was not good. And after some time, like after the performance was bad, you again taught the topic or you found some other way to reinforce the concept, then you want to know whether students have learned it or not. You will have to conduct a test second time as well. So for that purpose also we have created a second test as well. Okay, in that you will be able to check whether the learning has happened or not. Now after the test is attempted by the students, students are going to, or you are going to get different test reports. I will be showing you one example of test report and you will get to know like what are the different type of analysis which can be done based on this. Okay, so this test was conducted like around 24 students participated here, and this was done in Datta Mage World Academy. So this test was conducted around 1 year back. Okay, now this test was around 200 marks, and different subjects were covered in this. Okay, this is the statistics which we can see here. So this is the maximum marks scored in this test. This is the minimum marks. These were the median marks scored in the test. Okay. Similarly, if you go down, so mental ability, so subject wise performance is also given, summarized it. So as you can see, like chemistry performance is a bit better than the physics. So average score is higher. Okay. Similarly for biology and mathematics, you can see the performance. Then next is social science. Social science, the score is very high. Okay. It means the class is good in this subject. Going further, we have mark distribution. Okay, so the topper lies here and this is the area where most of my classroom is lying. Okay, now you can see the classroom toppers as well. Okay, so this is a student Harsh Badwe who has scored highest marks. As you can see, there is very huge gap between the student who scored highest marks and who is the second ranker. When we go to so this is the overall performance, okay, but story does not end here. You can also see the subject wise performance in this, okay. Now if I see this, so Harsh Wadhwe is nowhere in the science social science toppers, okay, even though this student was very good overall, he is not the topper in social science. And if we talk about physics, Aditya Singh, this student had overall rank of 14, okay, but is nowhere. So, but he's a topper in physics, okay, nowhere in the top five, nowhere in the social science also, but in the physics he has scored very good marks. Now you will get this type of analytics, okay. Now one question you will be asking. So as a teacher, your job has been to create question papers and create very good reports. Now everything is automated here, everything is available with the click of a button. What is my role now? Okay, so this is a very common questions teachers face, okay, that is a dilemma they face. My answer to that question is that since the things which are left for a machine to do are already done, now the teachers are free to take on more quality work, okay. Till the time we don't have a machine, we will have to do that work, but when a machine is available to do that work, we should focus our attention to higher quality work, okay. Now I will give you the example of what I'm talking about when I talk about higher quality work, okay. uh, so I hope my screen is visible. I have opened another window. Lakshman, can you confirm?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So let us say you have a class, okay? There are two students, student A and student B. Okay. Class, the test is completed and report is generated. What you figure out is that this student is very good in physics. Okay. Very good. But in chemistry, this student is not that good. Similarly, B is opposite. When we talk about physics, this student is not that good. But when we talk about chemistry, this student is very good. We have also seen something similar in the test report which we were seeing earlier, right? So that can be one of the common observation. Now, if I ask a teacher like around 15 years back, okay, what they would tell me is that what to do in this situation. The suggestion which we would get is take some extra classes for chemistry for this student and take the extra classes for this student for physics. Okay. But now when I'm saying about we need to take quality decisions, we need to figure out is there any different way in which as a teacher I can also reduce my effort and I can also ensure effectiveness is there, okay. One teacher gave a very good suggestion: give them a project work together, okay. Make A and B sit together, give them a project work in these subjects. In the process they will be teaching each other about their expertise, okay. So this is how teachers can leverage the strengths of different students in ensuring that the learning level of the classroom is increased, okay. So what skill is required on the teacher side is different. So around 15 years back, when you ask me like what is the skill required for a teacher, maybe good report making could be a very good skill, okay. But now understanding the analysis, okay, analytics, analyzing the test reports and using the data to take good decisions, that is the skill which teachers need to learn now, okay. How to interpret different results, how to figure out different ways of teaching the students, or how can we leverage strength of different students, okay. This is just one example I have given, like giving them a project work, okay. There are multiple such examples, okay. And this will also enable the teachers to provide more personalized attention to the students and take care of the overall classroom needs as well, okay. Because as a teacher sometimes our attention is like focused on like main 5 6 students in the class, and that is humanly also like that way, because we cannot give our attention to like 70 80 or 100 plus students at the same time. These kind of reports will help teachers provide personalized feedback to each student, okay. and they will be able to take a lot of good pedagogy based decisions in the classroom. Okay, so this is one example here which I have shown you. So this is how you can use different type of reports here. So let me go further, like what else we can see from the reports. Now that was something which till now we have been talking about, like the feedback to the students. There is also feedback to the teachers, which is very important. Okay, so let us say in a class, uh, students are not performing very good. Okay, so in this case you can see there is a list of weak concepts in social science. Okay, now this is a feedback for the teachers. Okay, so what it means is that it could be possible that students are not doing good in any, like no one is doing good in any of the concepts. Okay, so that is the feedback for the teachers, and maybe they will have to teach this concept again, or figure out some other way to reinforce the knowledge for that particular concept. Okay, so like similarly you can see there are weak concepts in mathematics, also in biology, etc. Okay, so these are the, like in addition to feedback for the students, teachers are also going to get some feedback. Now again, we have some strong concepts also in the class. So these are the concepts where the classroom performance was very good. How can this be helpful? Teachers can utilize this knowledge. Maybe they have taught these topics in some innovative way. That approach can be applied to teach the weaker concepts as well. Okay, so that is one insight you can use and improve the classroom performance. Okay, let us come back to the topic. So you have seen like different things can be measured and can be leveraged to improve different aspects of the classroom. Okay. Now the next thing which comes is what can we do after the measurement. As I have told you, one example which I have shown you, that is the example of personalized cooperative learning method. Okay, where you combine more than one student and they teach something. Okay. Similarly, there are other methods like personalized learning methods and active learning methods. So these are just three examples I've given you. These can be used to innovate your classroom pedagogy. Okay. Now the next question which will come is, does this even work? Okay. So to answer this question, we conducted some study in some school. The school is based in Bangalore. Okay. So I will show you the results which we found. Okay. So the topic was acid, bases, and salt in class 10th. Okay, so we conducted the test 1 and test 2. I will show you both the reports side by side so that you can judge it for yourself. Yeah. So Lakshman, can you confirm if both of the screens are visible?
Yes, visible.
Yeah. So you can see on my left. So this test was conducted on I think June 3. Okay, and this test was conducted on June 1. Okay, so there is a gap of around 1 month in both these tests. Okay, so we conducted this test first and we found some result, and then we will see how the results were improved or whatever change we observed after a gap of 1 month. Okay, yeah. So as you can see in the test summary, median marks in test 1 were 11. Okay, here you can see, and here the median marks have increased to 13. Okay, slight increment is there. Okay, and attempt rate was 100% here, it is 100% here as well, no change there. Accuracy rate has definitely increased. Okay, so it basically means that students are more choosy now. They will attempt only those answers where they know, okay, my answer is correct. They are not going to randomly answer the questions. That state of self awareness is also very important for the students actually. Okay, now coming to other details in this test. Yeah. So you can see average score we have already seen. Correct percentage has also increased. Attempt percentage has decreased. So this is also as expected because Now they are more focused on answering the right questions or only those questions on which they are confident. Okay. Yeah. This is the marks distribution in the first test, and this is the marks distribution in the second test. Okay. As you can see here, uh, classroom is lying in this area, and then this is the topper, this is the student, weaker student, and most of the class is lying there. Okay. Now what could have happened? Now these first tests would have given some feedback to the students, and some students would have worked really good, some students were not able to work that good. Okay. Maybe they might have got demotivated or like that. Okay? So you will see a lot of wavy graph here in this second test. You can see we have students who have scored very good marks also, but we have students who have not scored very good marks as well, right? But overall, if you see, we have a trend in which we have increased the average marks. Okay, so you can see we have more portion here which is crossing this area. Okay, so let me just mark it properly. So this is the area which is, I think, covering more now as compared to the earlier case. So this is one observation overall on the overall classroom performance we can see. Similarly, you can see notable students. So the student who was actually a topper in the first test is nowhere in the top 5 also in the second test. So that is another feedback. Okay. Now this is very interesting here. Okay. As you can see in the first test, we had a weak concept in science. Okay. So this was the weak concept which the class got. What do all acids and bases have in common? Okay, so this is the feedback which teacher would have got. Then they would have figured out a way to teach this topic again. Okay, now when you go to the second test, you will find that there is no weak concept. Okay, so that is how like class would have improved their performance, and that's how we are able to see some changes. Okay, so this is what I was telling you, like we have seen some early results which prove that the approach which we are trying to implement in the schools is somehow working. It is not a very significant result as such, but yeah, there are positive signs that it is working. Okay, so another question which I think some faculties have asked me is are these questions are only objective or subjective? So I want to show you one video here. Okay, so in this video I will be showing you like how the subjective assessments work. Yes, the product works for both subjective and objective assessments. Okay, so yeah, so I'll be running this video. It will hardly take 2-3 minutes. You can go through it. So this is a subjective question which has come now. Now the students are going to get an option to upload the answer sheet. Okay. the students can upload the answer sheets. Okay, as you can see, it can be done like whenever you have active internet connection. It is location agnostic setting. You can conduct it. So this is the most important part. Like this is how the teachers will evaluate the answer sheet. Okay. So teachers can highlight specific parts of the answer sheet as well, and like you do in your regular assessments. So all those annotation, different tools are going to be available for you. I think you got the idea around like how the subjective assessments can happen. Okay, so I'll just pause the video here. Okay, and we'll come back to the presentation. Okay, so yeah, so the purpose of this entire exercise is basically to create a data-driven school. As you have seen, we are covering a lot of analytics related to assessments, which will give us inputs on like how the different students are performing. And we school as a school overall, we can define some goals for us and create some performance metrics and work on implementing them. Okay, now we have seen like a lot of schools are there which already have these things, and we also have a lot of good teachers who keep track of the progress of the students. Okay, but the problem comes is that it is possible to do these things for 10 students or 15 students, but when you're running a school which is having like 100,000 students, okay, having a equally good standard for all of them is something which is challenging. Okay, so this is where these kind of tracking devices, or would say these kind of reports, will help the schools in creating a data driven schools, and where the performance is objectively measured for each student. There is no subjective bias, and everyone is part of the platform, and data is shared very efficiently with everyone. Okay, and that's how we track and improve the learning outcomes. Okay, so again I will touch this question which I was asking you in the beginning: is teaching an art or science? Definitely it is more an art. Okay, because there has not been a like, most of the things are intangible while teaching. Okay, but this is our attempt to make teaching more science. We are trying to understand different aspects of teaching and the different aspects in which we can improve it. Okay, we are doing a lot of measurement there and providing inputs to the teachers which they can use to improve the classroom performance. Okay, so yeah, so this is about the presentation which I have done till now. Okay, and this I would like to open this forum for any questions which teachers might have. I would be happy to answer all your questions. please ask in case if there is any doubt you have. Yeah, teacher. Vijay Priya ma'am, any question, any doubt you have, please ask if you have. Or Meera ma'am, Priya ma'am. Cool. I think if there is no question, I think then we can wrap this session for today. Okay. And I would like to thank all the teachers who have attended this session, and thank you for patiently listening to me. Okay. And your questions definitely give us more insights into our approach, how we can improve further. Okay. I hope the session could also add some value in the way you perceive different teaching learning problems. Okay. So with this, I would like to say thank you, and then we can wrap the session.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Akash.
Yeah.
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah.